Hello, welcome to episode 12 of At the Tavern. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Patrick.
And today we have with us Ben Stiers from Randover Games for his monthly update, monthly pint, is what I phrased it.
Hey!
There he is.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on again.
Special thanks to Flying Spaghetti for your awesome metal cover of Reign of the Septons.
Now we're thanking them.
Oh, well, no. Alright, cool. So, let's get started, I guess. Our Murphy's update for this week is going to be up tomorrow or
Later tonight,
depending on how much of it I get done. Apologize for the delay at work now. You would like to talk about our alliance with the Alliance?
Yeah, so we're now aligned with the Indie Game Alliance. Here soon, we're going to be receiving a lot of their guests for our podcast. We're going to be getting a huge amount of games from them to test and review. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with them that I can't really talk about yet. But it's really exciting for us and really looking forward to working with the Alliance of Indie Gamers.
That is so cool. Yeah, you mentioned that right before we jumped on the cast. That's really cool news. So what is I know there's a lot of stuff you can't talk about, but so the short things you can talk about is you're going to be able to, like, your reviews are going to kick up, you said? Do you think you guys are going to get more directly from them?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of indie games. They have about 7 games a month that go Kickstarter.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of their developers are going to be coming here to the tavern and talking with us.
That's fantastic. I'm just now, Randover Games, we're just now getting prepped for our first Kickstarter, and the idea of the exposure of being able to get on to a cast like this is going to be awesome for all of the indie developers that are going to be working with you guys. That's fantastic. Really cool.
Before you go on Kickstarter, you guys got to come back on, of course.
Oh yeah, well that's some of my big news that we're getting close to. I know you guys have been harping on me to get a review in your hands, and I still promise it's on the way. I give you my word. Remember I told you last time when I was on the cast that we had a 50% mark for getting artwork done before we wanted to send off anything to to get, like, professionally printed, and we just hit 60% of the art done. So tomorrow I hope to be getting all of the files ready. And then we'll ship those off to probably the Game Crafter. If you guys know the Game Crafter, if anyone's working with board games, you probably know the Game Crafter. If you don't, go to thegamecrafter.com. Trust me, I'm not getting any money for that plug, but they're really cool about making prototypes. And we'll probably be sending cards out to them. And as soon as we get them back, one is coming to Space Tavern, and so you guys can play our little game. And then before you know it, I will hopefully, within the next 3 to 6 months, have the big game going out in prototypes too. So.
So excited. You had art with you last week. Do you have any more art this week?
I don't have more art that's printed, unfortunately. Our artist who we've been working with is a little lagged down with day job stuff. I do actually have something new, which I have no idea if it'll come out on the camera, but I'm going to try. One of the big things that you kind of deal with when you're talking about prototyping is getting the right assets so that when people are playtesting the game, they feel like they're playtesting a unique game. I mean, like when you start off, you're working with like Excel sheets and glued stuff on old Magic cards and things like that. But eventually, you want to get to a point where people feel like they're playing your game. So I contacted Litco, Do you guys know what Litco is? It's the company that makes those really fancy tokens for like Star Wars miniatures and a whole bunch of other games.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
And although you probably will not be able to read these, I now have 3 little icons and dice and tokens that are specifically colored, cut, and laser engraved for our game.
That's awesome.
That is
So now when people play the game and it says that something's invulnerable, I will actually have a little blue token that says invulnerable on it, so they'll feel like you're actually playing the game.
that's awesome.
So that's the big thing for us. We just got those in. They haven't even been used yet. But this Saturday, if you're in the DFW area in Texas, and you know what Madness Games and Comics is, I'm sure you do, I will be there, and we will be testing. You can come and play with us. So that's cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah. You want to tell them what's going on with the IKRPG?
Yes.
Since you've been forgetting.
I even forgot it in the outline. What was it? 19th, right? The 19th is when we'll be having our first official session, the IKRPG.
Yeah.
So, keep an eye out for that. I'm not sure if the first episode is going to be our first podcast episode or not, because it's really going to be kind of like everybody gets their backstory stuff down and all those other things.
I think the people need to know.
I think we might do a recorded thing and then do some editing later to cut out like some unnecessary things or whatever. But
And it's not our style.
it's not our style. But we'll see what happens. We haven't really set on what we're doing with it yet, but
It's closer now than
it's
it
closer
ever was.
now than it ever was. Yeah.
So sorry, for anyone, we might actually have a few new people that are watching because I send a ping out to Twitch stream to follow. What is the RPG game in 5 seconds or less? What is that about?
The Iron Kingdom RPG that Tyler is going to be running is basically Space Tavern Games ran our mouth, and since we're a little trying to keep it little offended about the one new product that Privateer Press was
Essentially a board game version of the RPG.
basically saying that whatever campaigns we write suck.
So they wrote their own and made a board game out of it. Which, I mean, from a money standpoint, makes a lot of sense. However, people like us get offended and then we run our mouths, and now we are running them.
And now we're just putting our money where our mouth is, you know. So
Flip it for shut up time.
Yep.
yeah.
So that's it with that. Valhalla is coming along. Valhalla is going to be our interactive retail platform, I think is what we call it.
Yep. Actually, Ben, you were on like a few days before we even announced this. And
Right. Yes, I got the email about it. I'm excited for you guys. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to ask us about it? I mean, you're really,
Yeah, from a designer who hasn't had any exposure with it, if you want to ask me questions about it, we can maybe...
Right. I do actually have a few, for people out there. There's a lot of different routes when you're making a game, and I'm kind of, I'm swamped with them. Distribution, sales, platforms, all that stuff. But the once again, the 5-second version. You guys it's a fulfillment site basically. It's a retail storefront and fulfillment. Or just what?
it's definitely a retail storefront.
There is a retail storefront aspect. We have a storefront, we have the profile, we have the gamer profile, and then the unique part of it is the test bench, which is
What we're really excited about.
We've looked at other things people do, like the Steam Greenlight, where people will put up their things for review or put up, like, I have this idea. It's essentially a designer's haven, where designers can come and be like, hey, I need this game tested. Hey, I have this mechanic, or I have this problem with this mechanic. And we're calling it the Space Lab. Everybody gets together, comes up, like a brain pod. Like, think tank. That's the word I was looking for. It comes like a designer's think tank, where then people who have ideas that aren't necessarily good with designing mechanics, like might be better with designing worlds or something like that, can find who they're looking for, and kind of create this like a bigger community and really give everybody one place to go for it.
And each developer will have their own little section on the platform, and you can customize and edit it as you see fit. So like, hey, this changed with your company, and you want people to know about it. So you can go in and edit that yourself, or your logo just changed. You need to change that. You can change it, or you want to update your news feed. You also have your own little message board, like forum thing, where other users can come on and interact with you, and you can interact with them. Instead of just through private messages, you can have everything open and just talk to people who have been testing your game, seeing what everyone's thinking. And if you
pass the criteria, you'll go up into the store.
Yeah.
And
So that's almost like a mini personal forum mixed with the virtual office sort of setup. That's really neat. I mean, I can say from working with other designers that working with a designer is completely different than just talking to a player. Because when you talk to a designer, they get what you're doing so much faster, and they see things from a different perspective. Some of the designers that I've worked with when we've been playtesting our game, we've seen people, like, my wife is very bright. She's really, really smart. She has a really hard time with some of the mechanics on one of our games. We were playing with a very, very successful designer from a major company, and in 2 turns, he was telling her, even though she's played the game like 10 or 20 times, he was telling her more optimal moves within 2 turns of seeing the game. And you just don't normally see people that catch things that fast. And the stuff we learned from Protospiel, the advancements and the alterations we've made to our games just from having that sort of advice is invaluable. So offering a service like that to be able to do that virtually, that's fantastic. I mean, you can get some of that to some extent with like Reddit, with the Tabletop Design Forum, or BGDF, for the Board Gamers Designer Forum, or BigGDF.com. But those are kind of other people's spaces. Like, you have to step into someone else's place and then kind of take up a little bit of their time. If you can have your own space and have people come work with you in a place where you can feel comfortable designing it your way, that's fantastic. That's a really neat idea.
Yeah, and you can also interact with anyone who tested it or played it as well, not only designers.
And we also want to create a
community, community feel. You don't really get that on the internet with board games, and we really want to push that community feel.
Yeah, giving games like even popular games like their own forum as well.
Yeah, as you were talking about X-Wing.
Right. X-Wing would have its own section for people to talk about, they have modules or something they want to create, things like that. Yeah, it's trying to creating a hub for people to really come to and show off. You'll have your own for players who aren't designers and just want to.
You'll have your own profile saying I've play tested this,
and you'll have a section where you can upload your own games, or upload what games you have.
Where you're at, and you can connect with people within your zip code. You can eventually we want to get a search function in there so you can ping other players within a certain radius of your location, so you guys could maybe get together. If you want to do 25 miles, then you guys could just meet up at one location, or 50 miles. You all drive 25 miles each way,
right?
Meet up and play games. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, if you're not just going to your local game shop and you're
especially if your local game store has dropped your favorite game essentially off the face of the earth
because of some people who said it's not fun, and they're just
or if you play games like Epic 40,000, which we have just recently discovered is a thing that exists
still.
And you just don't know anybody in your area, you might be able to find more people this way.
Yeah, games that aren't even published anymore, and you still want to play them,
Yeah, that's really good, especially if you're in any sort of metropolitan area. I would assume something like that would be really cool, because there's only so much space in a lot of these places, and they want to get, especially the owners of these shops want to have people playing games that are new, because they want to be able to sell products, so they want to get you hooked on whatever the hotness is. But sometimes you want to go play, to this day, my favorite RPG is the old West End game Star Wars pen and paper. And that's, Wizards of the Coast owns Star Wars now, and no one will, you got to dig those West End Games books out, blow the dust off of them, find them at flea markets and things like that.
Buy them on eBay.
Buy them on eBay, right. And I still think that was some of the most fun I've ever had tabletop was with that old West End Games.
Well, when a couple months ago, I was like, there's these other Iron Kingdoms books. What are they? So I bought them. And they were for the D20 version, not the new
original Iron Kingdom.
Yes, the original Iron Kingdom. So
wow.
I bought all of them. And, I found the Monsternomican version 2 and on Amazon it was like $100, and I was like, "Are you serious for this book?" So I went out on the internet and found it for like $10, and I was like, "That's the one I'm buying. I don't care what it looks like."
So yeah, that's it for SDG, unless I missed something.
Opening day,
Oh yeah, opening day of baseball happened. Go Bucks.
and
Even
we
though
lost
We lost.
to my
Still plenty of baseball left.
least favorite team ever.
So Pat is a Reds defector. So we've named him, or I've named him. So losing to the Reds was a little bit more upsetting for him, I think.
Like taking a shotgun load of rock salt to my face. Rather do that than watch them lose to the Bucks. I mean, beat the Bucks.
All right, so now we're going to move into you, Dover. Give us an update on what's going on.
Sure. So a few things. Well, one, like I said, our smaller game, Cast and Capture, is we've got their 60% of the art in, and so that will be sending off to the the printers somewhat soon, and then hopefully we'll be sending them out to a series of reviewers. I've got you guys, obviously, which is awesome. Thumbs up. We've also got a few other mainstream reviewers that I don't want to say anything until we actually agree to do it. But we've been reaching out to if you can think of a person with board games that does reviews. If any of you guys out there can think of a name, we probably already sent an email. So we threw the biggest net we could to the largest audience we could to see what sort of opportunities there were for us, and we actually did get a few bites back. A few of them asked for our rulebook, so we sent that off. We actually just finished the rulebook for Cast and Capture, which is up on the website now, which we've redesigned. It looks a little bit more like a website, and not so much like a blog anymore. So randovergames.com, you can check that out. I believe the manuals are not displayed on the front page, but we've got them up there. Hopefully pretty soon we'll be sending them out so everyone can see them. You guys can read about the games and how to play them and what we're doing. But I'm pretty proud of the manual. We've managed to squeeze, because Cast and Capture is a little card game, 2 decks of cards. We managed to squeeze the entire manual onto the front and back of a single sheet of paper.
Wow.
So it is a single 8x10 or 8x11 sheet of paper that folds up into 1/6 size. It's got 3 folds, and it's a little tiny, just like that. And you unfold it, and it's everything. It even has artwork on it. It looks nice. It's pretty. It's simple. It's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had a little bit of an issue getting it printed because it was in JPEG or TIFF format, and the FedEx apparently wasn't a fan of printing it. But hopefully we'll have some actual physical versions that are looking okay. So that's good, because hopefully as soon as we get them back, we're going to turn around and send them out into the ether to you guys and to everyone else, and then hopefully get reviews back from everyone, positive or negative, just in time for us to set up for a Kickstarter. So that's huge for us, because we have no idea what we're doing there. So we've read all of the blogs, and we've watched all the videos, learned all the things that anyone online can tell us about what to do or what not to do, and hopefully we'll do okay. We think we've got a good price, we think we've got a good value, and we think we've got a good audience. So it's lots of thumbs up, and hopefully everything will come through. The big game, like I mentioned, we got our new tokens in, which is very cool. We've got some more art coming in. Unfortunately, nothing to show you guys because it didn't print me off, but I will next time for sure. We're trying to work out a deal with our artist to get some more of a larger variety of art done, and hopefully we'll be able to get a cohesive art vision for everything. Right now, we've got 2 different artists that have done major work, and I think that we're going to reduce that to 1, so we can kind of have a unified vision for everything. Hopefully that'll work out. The monster balancing is going pretty well. I think I described it last time I was on, basically how the game works. That's tough, man. I got to tell you, you guys, when you're I have great empathy for anyone that makes a video game, right? Because the amount of times you have to play a complex or any sort of AI coding, the amount of times you've got to play every single variation against it to see if it's good or bad is mind-numbing. I think I've play tested all the monsters somewhere in the 100 realm, and we have 18 monsters, so...
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That got tired real quick.
Yeah, especially when you're playing... Because the game scales, right? So you can technically play this game with 1 person. You can play solo. You can solitaire this game. It's going to be tough, but you can do it. But you can play from 2 to 6 players, or from 1 to 6 players, sorry. And that means I've got to play every monster solo, and then I've got to play 2 monsters with 2 people, and then 4 monsters with 4 people, and then 6 monsters with 6 people. And I got to play through them all and all the different permutations and alterations, and it's tough. One of the major changes we just had was actually fun. The classes are kind of comprised of a set of cards, and we've decided to add 1 new unique ability to every single class. So over the course, it's a lot of hard work, but over the course of the next few weeks, we get to add a whole new. We actually just get to be creative as opposed to just beating our heads against art assets. We get to actually generate stuff. But then that means I've got to restart testing on everything. So, yeah, months, guys, months. We've been working on this since 2013, and hopefully we'll be done with it by the end of the summer. To the point.
Not to cut you off here, but I did check out your website, and it looks really well done. Completely different, and I'm digging it.
Yeah, we're trying. I always wanted to have a homepage approach, but I know nothing about computer programming. I work with SQL and I can do databases, but anything that involves any actual sort of graphic aesthetics I'm the wrong person. Don't ask me. I don't know. I'm a math person. Numbers. The co-founder of Randover Games actually put in a ton of work and found some good templates and did some new research, and then we made some images for it, and I think we're getting a much cleaner approach, and that was the goal, right? We want people to be able to come to the site and see stuff that they want to see really easily without just being beat over their head by here's a WordPress blog, ta-da. So hopefully, it's still a work in progress, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I would agree. It looks really great. So anything else you got going on over there at Randover? Anything like that?
I have, this might be something interesting. I've got a whole giant list of games that I'm working on the side because for some reason 2 things is not enough for me. I'm so I actually got a question for you guys, and then I can fill in my own. I can answer my own question afterwards. But you guys are working on a giant project, right? I mean, not just giant projects, not just the game, right? But you're also doing all of the actual logistical internal workings of a huge company, sort of size. But do you guys have another iron in the fire, like another game? Do you have anything else that you can talk about? Because the reason why I asked, I'll throw this out here, is that I have 2 major games that I'm working on. I just told you about them. There are easily 6 other games, one of which I just came up with today, that I am just begging to start working on. And it's weird because I almost feel like there's not enough time in the day. And it's a fun thing to do, right? Because it's creative and it's enjoyable, but it's killing me. It's like I never can do enough on anything. Yeah. Did you guys have anything else that is just scratching at your brain, or no? Or is this all stuff you can't talk about right now?
Well, I mean, we can definitely talk about it. We talked about this before the show. I have been working on the script for a TV pilot. I don't want to give away too much about it because it's not done.
Can I hint at what my side of it's going to be?
And essentially, well, I guess the working title is Dungeon Dad and the Mighty Knights. It's about a dad who teaches his kids how to play
an RPG,
a tabletop RPG. Patrick is now in charge of hill tutting.
So now I'm in charge of writing the core rulebook to the game that he's basing the show on.
Wait. So you're going to have an actual show.
Yes.
And you're also going to have the game that's displayed in the show to be a real thing that someone can play on their own, additionally.
Yes.
Yep. And
wow.
It's targeted at the age range between 8 and 13. We wanted an RPG that was still set in a fantasy realm. However, not the typical D&D per se, but something still in the fantasy realm. You still create your character, but it's more to get younger kids involved. Because, I mean, seriously, if we don't get younger kids involved and get them excited about these things, then one day we're not going to have pen and paper RPGs, or we're not going to have board games that bring the family together. They're just going to be like, oh, let's play this stupid little freemium game on my tablet. And
we'll have disappointing renditions of popular tabletop games.
That's it.
Look at you, War Machine Tactics. Yeah, I went there.
War Machine Tactics. Biggest letdown of all time.
But yeah, well, the purpose of the show actually came up. We were just sitting around.
Well, hold on, real quick. We haven't touched War Machine Tactics since our review. That's how bad this game is. Like, we absolutely refuse to play it now.
I don't even want to see how it ends.
Nope. Don't care anymore.
If I cared enough, I'd probably find a YouTube.
Yeah.
Let's play or some shit.
1% of the people who own this game have actually beat it.
See, that's saying something. Can we address that for a second? If 1% of the people who own your game have beat it, come on!
If you look, you know how you can check Steam on the achievements?
Yeah.
Well, after level 5, it just completely drops off. It goes from like 3, 2, then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 0. Like some achievements must be unobtainium or something because no one can get them. And I was like, and I have like 2 achievements that like 1% of the population who own this game have.
Hopefully they'll rage quit like I have. No patience for the game. Anyway, back to what we were talking about.
Sorry, Tyler.
That was our monthly
rant
about how much we were disappointed.
So much better.
So we were sitting around talking, and I just like had the idea for a TV show, like thinking back to the old Dungeons and Dragons animated series that lasted all of 18 episodes or something.
That was horrible.
You can actually buy the full complete series for like $5 at Walmart, and I think it's like 18 episodes or something like that. But back at, and they did something interesting with it, but I wanted to get back to that where it was. We touch on what tabletop gaming really is, and it's all about the imagination and not having everything handed to you via visual stimulation. And, really, what the community. There's the buzzword of the day apparently. The community aspect of tabletop gaming.
I mean, and it's going to teach kids how to like do problem solving. I mean, that's what RPGs do. They teach you how to problem solve. They help feed your imagination.
You're like, how am I going to not have this Minotaur rip my face off?
Yeah.
That's a problem. You got to solve it.
A, run away. B, fight.
So that's where the show is coming from. The pilot is about 25% done on the first draft. All the brainstorm work is done. That took a while. But about 25% of the pilot is about done, I'd say.
You spent at least like 12 to 18 hours brainstorming this show.
Yep. Over the course of like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Not even, dude. You brainstormed it out in like a weekend. You like went to your office and you're like, just leave me alone for like the next 2 days.
And once you get an idea like that, something that's on your brain, you got to get it out. I understand it completely.
And then.
I made an entire game from start to finish over the course of one night just because it was so stuck in my brain. It turns out it was a bit garbage, but the idea had to be done. Like, I made the entire thing, it's all completely done, because I could not stop until it was completed. So I understand how that goes. You gotta go.
Yeah.
And so he told me about it. I was like, you know what? Because there isn't really anything for kids between the age range of 8 and 13 for this type of stuff, we should write that and have it come out with the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just like a no-brainer type of thing to do.
Yeah. We plan to do some like work with some storyboarding and things like that, throwing it up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can, and it'll have like voice casting and things like that. So you'll be able to like watch it and see where we want to go with it.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds awesome. I'm extremely excited for that. That's very cool.
But that's the only other really iron in the fire. I have some other ideas for some games that I wanted to Pat and I haven't had our weekly dev meeting yet.
Powwow.
Our weekly powwow. So as far as where those are at right now, they're just ideas. But
I have a notebook full of dead ideas. Every time I come with an idea, I put it down, and a dead idea is not really the right idea. Scrapyard would be the right way to describe it, because there's always unique bits in there that you might be able to salvage to use somewhere else. I've got a bag full of prototypes. I take 6 prototypes with me every time I go to the game store, including the 2 big ones that actually do work, as I try to figure out the other 4 to make them work. So that's a bit. I mean, that's a bit tumultuous. I've got like a pocket rogue, like a whole entire roguelike game that's 2 dex cards and 2 dice. I've got a social deception game. I've got mech-based salvaging game. I've got my dinosaur game that I think I mentioned last time here, and then I'm coming up with a dueling game based on a major property because I've been reading a book again for the second time. And there was something in it that was just like, this has to be made into a game. There's actually dueling in the between magics between these 2 people in the book, and it's kind of it's kind of loosely built on some sort of logic, and so it's just primed to be made into a game. So if anyone out there is a Patrick Rothfuss fan and they know the King Killer trilogy, desperately waiting for the last book like I am, I'm going to start working on a game and probably send it over to Patrick. Follow him on Twitter and see what he thinks about it. So, for no other reason, it's just it's in my brain and I have to get out. I just have to.
Yeah, and we had talked also about, when with your box and bag of prototypes and your book of finished but not finished games, about a possible STG Raid Over Games collaboration in designing something in the future, and I'm also really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. You guys definitely have a connection to a type of gaming that I don't with my other people that are actually around me. I tend to work with cards. I make a lot of card games, a lot of deck-based games, deck building, deck rebuilding, things like that. But I love pen and paper, and I love miniatures. And those are 2 departments where I've got a lot of, I think I started working on my first pen and paper battle system when I was 20. And that was many, many years ago now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, I've yet to see one of those actually come to life. And I would love to be, I learned a lot during that, and I've learned a lot more since then. I'd like to be able to flex that muscle with you guys and try to turn that into something. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. With our world building and, your rules.
With our imaginations and your rules.
Something really beautiful could come out of this.
Yes, I will take the glorious things that you create and find some way to ground them in reality. Probably pare them down in
Cataclysmic?
Bum, bum, bum. We didn't even mention the name of the...
No. But see, now it's
the joke really just completely missed on everybody who's watching.
Wait, wait. Do you say it, or do you just leave it as an Easter egg to be revealed later? That's the question.
You know what? Now that joke completely missed, we're just going to let people guess.
There you go. What does that have to do with anything? You don't know.
Cataclysm.
So what did you want to say about the Irons and the Fires and us? What were you going to say, man?
Well, it's just the idea of working on that with you guys. The idea of having all those little bits, having the bag of prototypes, trying to push something towards reality. Because I think that's something that a lot of developers and I guess proto developers or wannabe developers or amateur developers, transitioning something from an idea into a reality is something that not a lot of people do. And you guys are doing it with Tavern games. You guys are making something there that's real, and that's what we're trying to do with Raid Over Games. We're trying to make it into something that's not just an idea, a fancy, a small blurb on the internet, but something that's on a store, in a person's mind, that's in a person. It's in the social zeitgeist, even if it's only so tiny of a fraction that there's only a few people that know about it. But it's really cool, and this with you guys working with the Indie Game Alliance. That's what it is, right? Indie Game Alliance?
Yep.
Yeah. You guys, it's just a whole kind of combination of all that. It's really neat. I never cease to be amazed with how social and awesome the board game community in general, the tabletop community is, and it's neat being. I appreciate grateful for the offer for you guys of working with you on something in the future, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I've got a whole folder in this computer. I have like an actual folder. I have a folder in this computer of all of these projects that I've started that are either plays or
the hard drive
TV series or movies or whatever. So we should just swap.
dude, your hard drive is like pianos out, like one of those old piano binders.
This.
Yeah. That was like Minority Report right there.
Yeah.
Just punch my computer. Do this.
So yeah, so for all of those watching and any STG fans, keep an eye out for any announcements we have in the future, any collaborations between Randover Games and Space Tavern, called like Spaced Over Tavern
Space
Games.
that.
Tabbed over. We'll think of a name later.
Randover Tavern
Randover Tavern.
of space.
Yeah.
Randover.
Is there anything else you got going on? You got any conventions coming up anytime soon?
I do, actually. The convention list is huge. And unfortunately, they're probably not ones that you guys or that many of the viewers will actually be able to go to unless you happen to live in the DFW area. Apparently, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, and North Texas is a central point for a lot of conventions. I didn't realize this, but Board Game Geek is here, if you know Board Game Geek. They're in Dallas, or the DFW area. But we've got Table 2, which is a little convention that's coming up. We've got the Board Game Geek Family Weekend in about a month and a half. We've got Dallas Comic-Con. We've got A-Con, which is an anime convention here, but there's actually there's a huge board game room there.
So it's not the singer.
Say what?
So it's not the singer, Akon?
No, not that A-Con. It's something else entirely, but it is hilarious. If you try to look, you shake your head, but if you try to actually look that up online, you have to know the exact right thing to put into Google. Otherwise, all you get is A-Con.
You might want what you need to put into Google so they find it.
Yeah, if you type in A-con space 25, you'll probably find it. Maybe, or you could just do that right now and prove me wrong. I don't know. I'm taking it.
No, I'll be there.
Yeah. Also, I might be at Phoenix Comic Con, so if you've got anyone in the Arizona area, I might be over there. I've got a friend who's actually working on Phoenix Comic Con, and you should really check it out. There's a lot of really awesome stars that are going to be there. And then Board Game Geek's big convention come this next fall. We're not going to make it to Gen Con this year, unfortunately. And which is
Indiana anyway.
Gen Con, you have no idea how many people are trying to get me to go to Gen Con. Like, I was talking to guys at Greater Than Games. I was talking to friends that worked in video games. I've talked to a lot of them, and they're all like, "You're going to be at Gen Con, right?" Unfortunately, the day job only allows me so many vacation days, so I can't take all of them.
We'll actually have one of our STG members at Gen Con this year.
Yeah.
He goes every year. I was more making a reference to State Bill 101 that has recently passed.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
A lot of people.
We talked about it first. Oh, by the way, if you type into Google A-con space 15 and hit enter, it's the first result.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate the assistance.
59 days, 15 hours, and 57 minutes.
Anything else you want to share on this, Ben? Going on in Randover?
I'll give a shout out really fast, actually, because Angie, who's my wife and who's also the CFO of Randover Games, she and I actually are following a streamer right now. There's a guy over on Twitch called Chinchilla Dave. If you guys are Twitch viewers, you guys watch games like that, and you want to get into a really awesome community, Chinchilla Dave is the place to go. He's new and starting off, but he's been doing YouTube stuff forever, but he's trying to start off with live stuff new. And the reason why I bring him up is that he plays a lot of games with the community, and some of them that he's trying to work on are related to the board game space. So they actually have their own Cards Against Humanity server that's up and running, if you guys know cards, which most people should. Yep. And since we're working on trying to create a digital version of our games, and there's a few other people that are creating digital versions of games, putting them on Tabletop Simulator on Steam and things like that, he's up for playing those games and trying to show them off to his community there. So if you are a developer, you have a digital version of the game, it's something you want to get someone to look at or check it out. The community over there is really awesome, and I totally would suggest people stopping by and checking it out. And there may or may not be a very easy opportunity to run into me there. So if you guys want to stop by and say hi, that's a place where you guys can catch me. I make stupid Photoshop meetings with them all the time, and so it's a ridiculous amount of fun. And if you're a board game designer, it's a good place to hang out with people that are probably going to be the ones playing your games if you want a virtual space. So that would be a shout out that I do there. Otherwise, I mean, you can check out my Twitter. You can check out our Twitter. Oh, actually, good news. BoardGameGeek.com, if you guys haven't been there, if you guys know that place, whatever. Both Proelium and Cast and Capture are now actually on Board Game Geek. So we got those past submission, and they're in the system right now, including myself as the designer and the co-owner as a designer too. So we're officially real live people with a actual digital presence on there. So
congratulations, man.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
yes, we're really excited about that. I mean, they're obviously a bit lame at the moment because we don't have very many assets on there, but they've made it through. So they're pages that exist, and as soon as we get reviewers reviewing it, like I don't know, Base Tavern Game.
You see, it's fun time.
I know.
Yeah, no, we'll have that done like.
Right. So whenever reviews like that come in, I hopefully glowing, but at least honest one way or the other. We'll have a place where they can actually show up, so people can actually find out about our games and see what people think of it. And that's what really matters to us, is because I don't want to just make a game. I want to make a game that people enjoy. And it might not be for everybody, but I want the people to play it to dig it. Or I want the people that dig it to be able to play it and find people that can play it with them. So hopefully having us in Board Game Geek, having a profile that's up there, that's important. And also, I mean, come on, a little bit of prestige, right? Like, I want to have a place that's got my name on it and says I'm a designer. Like, that's,
Who doesn't?
Right, your ego's got to take a little bit of a boost from that. I mean, that's it. That's kind of the big stuff for us. What's going on there? I guess, you guys, what's in store beyond catching up with an update that you need to do?
National Tabletop Day.
National Tabletop Day on Saturday.
Yep.
Should be on Twitch. Should be on Twitch.
Yeah, and you'll get to see where we actually playtest all of our games.
And just us generally hanging out and having a good time, enjoying the camaraderie of what tabletop gaming brings you.
And
how many hours are you guys going to be doing that? You guys know?
Start at noon is our official start time.
Noon, what time?
Eastern
Standard Time. Run till 8, 9 o'clock, maybe 10.
Very cool. You can get Handover Games. We'll be at Madness Games and Comics in Dallas, Fort Worth area. If there's anyone in that part of Texas, we'll be there all day playing our games.
Remember that time we took one of our demos to the local hobby shop and they would have nothing to do with us? They stayed away from us like the Black Plague.
Yeah.
Because we're that hobby shop must be like
it's
Hollywood.
falling off, man. It's falling off.
It's like Hollywood there. Like, we walk in and they're like, "Oh, we don't know you. Have a nice day."
Whatever. We'll see how long that attitude will get them there. We'll see.
Wait until they're asking you to come in to do signings and all the merch that you're putting on the shelf. There you go. You look at it from a positive perspective. Glass house.
Or when they're non-regulars start looking for other places and discover that Space Tavern Games now has its own storefront location for them to come play games at.
Oh wait, I know you.
You're that guy with the tattoos. It smells really bad. Yeah.
There's the door.
We at Space Tavern Games have very strong feelings about things, especially jerks.
Especially in this community we're involved in. I mean, it has no space for you.
Yeah, elitism just does not belong here.
Get out.
Yeah, I don't like this.
I mean, if you're gonna be an elitist, just stay at home in your mom's basement and play whatever it is you're playing.
Let's just drove by. So, moving on to the news. I've had a couple things to talk about. Star Wars Armada is having Wave 2 release. I have never played Armada. Ben, could you please fill us in?
Right, so if you've heard of the X-Wing Miniatures game,
By Fantasy Flight.
By Fantasy Flight. Armada is made by Fantasy Flight 2. It is, from what I can glean, I haven't actually bought Armada yet, but I have looked into it because I love X-Wing Miniatures, so I do Armada. It is taking the scale of what you're seeing in the X-Wing Miniatures, and it is shrinking everything down so that you can get into the much bigger ships. So instead of having an X-Wing that's yay big or so, a piece that's this big is actually 3 X-Wings that's making up a flight of X-Wings. So that way, the Star Destroyers would have been my arms can't fit in frame here, but this big for the Fantasy Flight game, can be shrunk down to about 6 inches, 8 inches long. So now you can actually do battles with Star Wars Armada that is Star Destroyers firing volleys at Mon Cal cruisers and Nebulon B frigates, and your Krillian corvettes can actually move around and be actually mobile. From what I've seen, Fantasy Flight is just killing it with the Star Wars game. They've got Imperial Assault out right now that people are absolutely adoring. X-Wing miniatures blew every expectation out of the water, and now what they're doing with Armada seems like they're going in the right direction. And I think this is good. I mentioned earlier that I'm a Star Wars nut. So I mentioned earlier that I really loved the Western Games version of the Star Wars, and the reason for that was we actually had space battles where we would have all 60 turbo lasers on a Star Destroyer firing volleys at Mon Cal crew. Now I can actually have a miniatures game that has a rule set that doesn't involve me rolling 900 dice. And you can actually have fun with it. And that's really cool. And there's
fire again. God.
Freaking sack of dice.
If you don't know Western games, everything was D6, right? So, if you played White Wolf games and everything's D10, Western games was like that. Star Wars, it was D6s. So if you fired a turbo laser and your firing shot was, your skill was 15, you rolled 15 D6 dice at one time. Now do that 60 times for every one of the turbo lasers on.
That's brilliant.
Because we didn't know. There was none of this, like, fire this battery, like this set. No, we rolled every single one. You had to know whether that gunner hit or not. So, individual volleys would take all night because we were kids and we had that much time on our hands. And I could never do that anymore. But, anyways. So that's why Armada's here, to make it a little bit easier. The reviews have been good. The people that I know who have played it have been good, or have been very positive about it. I have not. So I can't speak from any point of actual experience, so I can't say that it's great. The buzz says that it is, and I love the miniatures, the X-Wing miniatures game. So if that has any sort of speaking towards quality, I would strongly suggest checking it out. It seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever played the Axis and Allies miniatures. I played those a couple of years back. I remember the naval ones. I think are the ones I had the most fun with. But large naval battles and then spaces, essentially naval battles. So I think it should be a lot of fun. I remember watching, though, getting to the X-Wings. I tried watching and following along, and a lot happens, and it's Fantasy Flight, so unless you spend
10 hours.
10 hours or 3 days reading the rules, or have somebody teach you, it's really hard to learn. But like every good Fantasy Flight game, once you learn it, you don't forget it.
Yeah, that's true. Like Space Hulk.
Yeah, Space Hulk, great game. I actually played it the other day.
Right. I'm assuming I've seen the Armada rulebook. The X-Wing rulebook actually has a simple version and a complex version. And actually, that whole pairing out of having a simple set of rules and a complex set of rules is one of the things that I used when I was building the manual for Corellium for a big game, was that I actually have a simple set of rules and then a complex set of rules where you get introduced to more things to play the entire game.
So like a quick start and then like the full rules.
Right, basically. So the short example would be in the Star Wars and the X-Wing miniatures game. There's a thing called fatigue, where you can pull off really crazy maneuvers with your ships, but if you do it, you're stressing your pilot out, so they get fatigued. I'm pretty sure it's called fatigue. And then they subsequently can't do other moves until they do other moves to replace that. So, to use other terms, if you do a red maneuver, you can't do any other maneuvers until you pull off a green maneuver to remove it. So you have to let your pilot chill before he can do other strenuous activities.
He's like Porkins, man.
All of these
loses it.
None of these exist in a simple version. Like the simple version of the rules, you don't have to worry about that. You just get in, play, flip, flip UEs all the time. Put the G forces on your pilot's brain until it would snap out of his head, and it's totally okay. Like they don't care.
And yes, you can actually put G forces on yourself in space. It just takes a lot of hard maneuvering.
Yep.
I don't understand physics, so.
Well, all right. Basically, if we ever want to create artificial gravity on one of our space stations, it would have to rotate exceptionally fast in a ring, and in that ring, it would create gravity just from the force of this motion, and at a high speed, and you're on that ring, so you're gonna have artificial gravity. That's the only way they could do it. It would have to be really huge because no one's figured out how to make it really small.
Right, up until Babylon 5. You guys watch Babylon 5? That was the show where they actually, well, at the beginning, eventually towards the end, they were just like Star Trek and they just had magical, you have gravity type of thing. But at the beginning of that show, it was actually a giant cylindrical space station that was spinning around creating artificial gravity, and that's why they were able to walk around.
No, I was actually just going off some physics articles I read.
Sometimes fiction lines up with physics.
Then there's people like me who went to school for theater and have no idea or inkling about any of this stuff. So having an engineer on your design team is great sometimes. Moving on in the news.
What else we got?
We've got Free Space. It was an old PC space shooter. Is getting its own tabletop game.
I saw that.
Free Space Tactics. It's up on Kickstarter right now. I never heard about Free Space until now. However, I love space. I love space battles, and I love everything about the future and sci-fi and other things like that. So, always love to give a good pop to anybody who's got a space battle.
But I'm sorry, man. Anything that throws tactics on the end of its name just gets me all apprehensive now. I'm just like wigged out. I'm like, I don't even want to think about it anymore.
Post-terrible game stress syndrome.
I wake up cursing White Moon Industries.
I don't know if you've ever played Free Space, Ben.
Yeah, I did. Free Space was a great computer game back in the day. I had no idea that there was a tactics, that there was a tabletop.
It's up on Kickstarter right now. No,
I'm looking for it, like as we are talking.
I can send that to you actually.
I already got it.
Oh, you already got it? In news for gamers out there everywhere, you do have a chance to make it in Hollywood because Five Nights at Freddy's is getting a movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Now, there's a horror movie I would actually sit down and watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Resident Evil didn't leave a bad enough taste in your mouth?
Hey, now, which one?
All of them.
No. That first Resident Evil was watchable. It's not a good movie, but it's watchable.
Dude, I played all up to Resident Evil. I played all the way through Resident Evil 4, 1 through 4, and all the other offshoots they had. And going in, I was like so pumped to see this movie.
And it just let you down?
And I was like, nope. Just like when I went and saw Avatar, I was super lit.
Which Avatar? The Last Airbender?
No, the crappy James
Cameron?
Yeah. And I got hammered before I went and saw this movie because I knew it was like some super left-wing hyperbole.
Pocahontas with aliens.
Yeah. And I went in, I think 45 minutes into the movie, I made it, and I got up and stumbled out and went home. I was like, to my friends, I was like, we're leaving. They're like, but you can't drive. I'm like, that's why you're taking me home. Let's go. And they're like, and I was like, I bought the tickets. We're going.
He's a forceful guy sometimes. That's the major news I have.
They threw out one-page 40K beginner's guide and one-page rules for the anniversary of 40K.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean,
I actually got to play some 40K. I've always been a fan of the lore and stuff and played back when it was...
I'm a huge lore nerd.
4th edition, I think, was the one that I remember playing. I don't know. It was 4, 5, and 6. It's what, they're up to 6 now, right?
We're on 8. We're on 8th edition.
40K?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't remember what edition I played. However, the game is good.
I like 6.
There's a
7
lot
came out.
of detail into that game. However, very, very unbalanced. So, and then having quick start rules for it will help it a lot.
Yeah, 7th came out in 2013.
Sure. You sure you're not thinking of Warhammer Fantasy?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because.
Do you have anything to throw in, Ben, while I figure this out?
See, Warhammer was always the type of thing that I enjoyed watching, but I never got into. Initially for financial reasons, because I was a CCG kid. I was a Magic the Gathering, Star Wars, Decipher games, things like that. So the actual physical miniatures games was just outside of my price range when I was younger. I could afford $3 for a pack of cards, but I couldn't afford $15 for a computer miniature back when that was all they were, or an army, whatever. So it never really got into it. I do love the idea, and I've enjoyed watching people play it. At least the old ones. I haven't watched miniatures play like that in quite some time.
So you either played.
I think it was no, it might have been
Fifth
fifth. I think it was
or
fifth
sixth?
edition because sixth edition came out when I was working at the store, which was
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fifth edition I played.
2012, the year Space Tavern Games was founded.
Arbitrary high five. Any news on your end there, Ben, that you found that you would like to share?
Not much in the way of relevant board game or nerd news along those lines, other than what did I catch? No, I didn't even catch any good April Fool's items either. Really.
The Deadpool movie was a good April Fool's joke. Did you hear about that? It was teased as PG-13. It was teased as PG-13, and then on April Fool's, Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool costume
Yeah, that was good.
took a chair. It was Mario Lopez, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, took a chair of Mario Lopez and announced that there's going to be lots of F words, blood, gore, all the stuff, and there's going to be a rated R movie. So that took because my hype was here, and then I said it was PG-13, and then it was here. So then I said R, and now it's here. So.
My favorite was the Hadron Collider discovered the Force.
Yeah.
Like the existence of the Force. That was my personal favorite.
Wait, I didn't even catch that. I completely missed that one.
Yeah, they had Chief Scientist Ben Kenobi discover it, and apparently the whatever the place is called, they actually have astronomy R2 units running around and helping out the scientists now. So.
Wait, so is this actually released by CERN? CERN's the...
Yeah, it was released by CERN. Yeah,
Oh
they
my
did it.
god. And they have... Okay, I gotta look this one up. If they actually had astromech droids running around the Large Hadron, that's brilliant. Brilliant!
Yeah, and the one scientist used force lightning to heat up his coffee. It was great.
Yeah, as the second this cast is over, I'm going to be over on the CERN website looking for that.
Yes, it was enjoyable. So on to our closing segment.
Wait, no.
What I missed?
Tell them about the Dungeons and Dragons board game we actually played. We spent 10 hours playing it.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time playing it.
It's addicting. Oh man.
Dungeons and Dragons has a licensed board game out called Dungeon. It's a family game. You play as warrior, cleric, rogue, or wizard.
And they're all based on characters.
Character classes and characters from...
R.A. Salvatore, he wrote a bunch of the characters that they've taken into this game, and you can actually play as them, like Drizzt, Caddy Bree, two I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, and there's one named Elena. I haven't read the book, so I wouldn't really know.
It's really fun. I mean, you can pretend you're like these people.
Yeah. But you go, essentially, it's a board game. You go into these various rooms, fight various monsters.
It's a dungeon.
It's a dungeon, and there's 6 levels in sections of the dungeon. And you go in, and the first one to collect the appropriate amount of gold and return to the Great Hall wins. The first game we played by the actual rules, and we decided to do one where you had to gather 50,000 gold worth of treasures, and that took forever.
2 hours.
We're never doing that again.
Well, we might. I mean, you can't say never. I mean,
never say never.
Yeah.
But it took a while.
And we're also developing our own rule system, so you can play as a group going through.
Yeah, we're
More
gonna try to come up with
D&D.
some modules for it where you can play as a group going into a dungeon.
Gathering up all the loot you
Collect
can.
whatever.
Yeah. Or clearing it out.
That too. So keep an eye out for that, I guess.
It's real simple to play. The rules are really easy.
Yeah. Everybody's speed is the same. You move 5 spaces. You move into a room. If the room's been cleared, there's nothing there, obviously. Or you fight a monster. The monster drops that level of loot.
Yep.
Here's something interesting. If you don't kill the monster fights back, and you can do anything from drop an item and get thrown out of the room and have to lose a turn to heal.
They can miss.
They can miss.
Or you die.
They can severely wound you, which will mean you have to drop half of the treasures you've collected and return to the Great Hall, leaving your treasures with that monster. So if you're trying to get back to that room to fight that monster, somebody goes in there and defeats it, they get all of your treasure.
Yeah.
Or you can die, which loses all of your treasure, and then you go back and start over.
Yep. And if there's characters that aren't being played with, you have to start a new character.
Yeah.
Or if all the characters are being played, you can play up to 8 people at once.
Yeah.
And if all the characters are being played, then you have to restart with your character. So.
Yeah.
What's the actual game again?
It's called Dungeon, with an exclamation.
Dungeon.
Yep.
It's a Dungeons and Dragons licensed game.
Addicting.
And we're going to be playing it on Tabletop Day probably.
It's addicting.
So it's very, very addicting. A lot of fun. So now we move on to our closing section, where we answer a bunch of questions we find. This actually goes to Dungeon. How would you capture an ooze? Because long story, Pat goes into a room, fights a green ooze or green slime. Ooze,
Yeah.
slime, same thing. Takes him 4 turns to defeat this thing.
It's like 6.
4 to 6 turns to defeat this thing. So he's become his nemesis. So Pat, how would you recommend capturing an ooze?
Well, first of all, I don't ever recommend capturing such foul creatures. I would personally destroy them all with my swords, or put it in a kettle and roast it over the fire, boil it to death, whatever. I mean, yeah, you capture it in your kettle, throw it over some fires, and boil it, and listen to it scream or pop or whatever the ooze makes.
My recommendation is it's an ooze. Do you need if you need a whole ooze? I don't really know how to help with that one. But if you just need some ooze, you could probably just swipe a vial of it or a jar of it or however much you need of it.
Ghostbusters 2 style.
There you go.
The movie that shouldn't have been
Arcane
made. but
Mechanica using a bag of holding. You could Ghostbust it. Be a plausible thing.
Just don't cross the streams.
Yeah. I have a different approach. Giant straw. Hang with me here. Capillary effect. You suck it into the straw like a venomous snake tube, so it's just caught in there. Just plug one in with, I don't know, what giant hand. You create some friction. You cork it, right? You cork it, and then you just cork the other end of it, and then you got a tube of ooze. You just carry it around like a giant pneumatic tube. And then whenever you need it, you just break it. So it's
like a
Pokemon at the same time, right? You got to catch them all. So you're walking around with just a bag full of capillary tubes full of ooze. It would work. It would absolutely work.
Another question. As a GM or DM, and we can actually change this to as a designer or whatever, what are your least favorite kind of players to have in your party? Well, to have, I guess, testing. We'll make this a 2-part question. First part, least favorite people to have in your party. Second part, least favorite people to have testing or playing your games. My answer for both of those, well, I guess for the first one, is the character that tries to be an action hero. And tries to do everything by themselves all the time and takes the fun away. Or they're the dark brooding character that I sneak up to it and I stab it in the back, and then I walk away, and then I creep back away with my cape of darkness, stand in the corner all dark and brooding like, because I'm the dark and brooding character. With a tragic backstory about how my parents were slaughtered by the same creature I just killed. Ugh. Yeah, those people are annoying. As far as testing goes,
Can I answer that one?
We all get our own answer. As far as testing goes, the kind of guy that would just sit there and laugh, or make fun, or not try, or give your game a full-on attempt at playing, even if it's in its alpha stage or whatever. Those kind of people are annoying too. Respectful. Spend time on that.
Yeah, or they totally trash your game.
Yeah. That's
Dicks.
what about your least favorite people in a party?
Definitely the guy with the white knight complex. I just want to curb stomp his character into the earth. I don't even know if there's curbs in the realm I'm in, but I guess a really thick tree root will do. Bite the root! Bite the root!
So, now we pass the question along to Ben.
Okay, so the worst one with DMing, the worst type of player, is for me. It's the one. It's not a type of character. It's the actual type of player. Is the one who refuses to actually break away from out of game knowledge. this one has been the burn in my side for I don't know how many games. The person that my classic example is I was playing with some guys, a really good friend of mine and his younger brother, and his younger brother's friend, and the younger brother and his friend insisted on trying to build a cannon because they understood how to make gunpowder. And they were certain that they could explain why their characters could know how to make gunpowder, and that was the type of those people annoy me too much. Like you got to be able to break. You got to actually be able to roleplay. At least your guys, as much as those are annoying characters, at least they're in the game. The ones that don't get all the way into the game, keep that hold on the outside. Those are the ones that hurt me.
Yeah, they suck too.
They suck. As for playtesters, I think I talked about this the first time I was on here, but there are two types of playtesters out there when you're looking for playtesters, and as a designer, you need to know which one you're talking to. Well, there's two good types of playtesters, and everyone else is bad. That's just kind of a rule of thumb when you're dealing with this stuff, and it's kind of weird, but there's playtesters that are really good at early game testing, and there's playtesters that are really good at late game testing. And it's very rare to find someone who can do both. So like an early game tester can take a lot of faults and still get through the game, like you're talking about, like they're not laughing, they're actually going to make it through to test the mechanics. And they have lots of really good ideas, but they're with you, they're on board. And a late game tester is the type of person that accepts the game for what it is and doesn't dive into all the weird offshoots and stuff. They kind of encapsulate what it is. And I think when you get someone in the wrong spot, it makes them a bad tester. If you've got someone who's only focused on winning the game when you're trying to playtest a game, it's horrible, because that's not the point of playtesting. It's not just to win the game, it's to figure out the mechanics in the early stage.
Find all the bugs.
Right, find bugs, right? Figure out if things work, right? So if you have a person who's dedicated to winning when you're playing early stage, he's a horrible tester because it's not helping. On the converse, if you have someone who's full of really good, unique ideas, and you have them playing when the game's almost done, and they're like, why don't you add this, why don't you add this, why don't you add this? Well, the game's almost done. I'm not going to add 37 minutes to it. They can be. And you'll run into
sorry, is this your game?
Right, yeah, no. Why doesn't your game also need 3 dice, a counter system, a new deck of cards that are doing this? And it's just, eventually they just start adding in all the superfluous stuff, and the idea of writing a rule book to even include all that stuff in makes my head swim. So those would be my things.
Cool.
To explain my "Are you shitting me?" earlier, that Iron Kingdoms board game we were talking about, they're now launching it with 40 minis, 40 unpainted minis, and let's see. Plus a whole bunch of other things that you need. New hero packs and quest packs. So that way when you're done playing the crap out of the story that they write for you, don't worry, there's going to be more, Tyler. You're going to love it. Because you can't write. I didn't say that. I did not say that. Privateer Press said that, Tyler.
I kind of think you guys need to reach out to Privateer Press.
We have.
Because I would adore watching an actual video of a go-between between you guys and someone on their team.
As long as it's not anybody from whatever Moon Studios did Tactics, I think it won't turn into a shouting match.
Yeah, it won't turn into, I'm just going to start cursing you out because I hate what you've done with everything. But
I could never curse. I could never curse out Privateer Press. I could be disappointed. I feel like a disappointed father right about now.
I could curse out White Moon or High Moon Studios, whoever.
High Moon did Deadpool.
So you're right. It's White Moon.
White Moon did the.
Yeah, I could curse out White Moon. Like let's call them up right now.
And we have reached out to Privateer Press, or I have. I reached out to them to talk to them about doing promo work with we're doing the Iron Kingdoms game, and they never got back to us about that.
Don't know why.
You should,
because they watched our podcast and went, wow, they hate us. We don't hate you, Privateer Press. We're very disappointed in what you've done.
Get them on Twitter. Send out the tweet.
Essentially,
get the department and make this a crusade, because come hell or high water, I don't care how it ends up. I don't care whether you guys ever convert or whether you end up causing a rift or something, but I want to watch that video because the vehemence you guys have against Privateer Press for this is like palpable.
Here's exactly why I feel so upset with this the board game part of it is the tabletop game. If you were to take out and make like square off, like make a square grid to put on the table, you have a board game right there. The table, it's a tabletop game. It doesn't need its own board game and its own specific board game rules. However, and the idea of Iron Kingdom's miniatures bothers me as well because I'm never going to be able to use them on the tabletop in anything but Iron Kingdoms. There's no fun in that. Everything that's ever come out from Private Press.
Yeah, they're not releasing stat cards for.
Has been usable on the tabletop.
So, also think about it this way: they're going to be flooding the lore and fluff with like 40 new people that no one's ever heard of. They release maybe 3 to 4 new casters a year.
Yeah, they just had a huge caster release with Tactics,
with horrible.
And it's just.
Oh god! My hat's off. My hat is off. Like this has never happened at the tavern, but
what bothers me so much is that they have so much potential to do so many good things that they're just not doing them. Just not doing them. I feel like, here's what I feel. I love Private Press. I love War Machine. We love Private Press. And everything they do with War Machine and Hordes, always fun. Always great. It's a great community. Great. It's just a great design game. And then they do these side things that I'm just like, why? Why?
Well,
I feel like my son has just come to me and saying, Dad, I could have been the starting quarterback for the football team, but I let my friend take it because he really wanted it.
No, I went and played tennis.
I went and played tennis instead.
Nothing wrong with tennis.
I went and played soccer, even more.
Don't work on soccer.
We're just saying,
I play football.
We're just saying, Ben. Like,
I know. Just throwing that out. I understand.
How did you send them a message? Because I'm hitting them up on Twitter right now.
I emailed them.
Like, what email address did you use?
Whatever one's on their website, this is contact us. They have
Did you use your email address?
I used my Space Tavern Games email address.
Do you know what?
There you go. If anyone's watching this, whether it's live or after the fact, get on Twitter, find Space Tavern Games, and then just retweet the hell out of that because we all want to watch this. I promise you, we want to see this live.
It doesn't show up in my sent email.
Who knows? Maybe you guys could get an invitation out to actually try it. It could happen.
And then people could wind up maybe liking it on the very off chance that it's actually the most amazing thing we've ever played.
But still,
a little upset because they insulted us. They indirectly insulted us.
And the plan that they've been doing has worked out so well with the release of just 4 new people that you can get attached to and like is money. It's not like you're like, here's a whole new army, guys, have fun. I mean, they do release their new armies, but it's not like an overwhelming sense. Whereas you're getting 40 new miniatures in a box. That's just crazy. Like,
they might as well have just painted them, called it Pathfinder.
Yeah, yeah. They should just paint them and be like, here you go, have a nice time.
Because let's be honest here for a second. I know, Ben, you've played tabletop games. If you got a box from an already existing tabletop game, and you're only ever going to use these miniatures to play the game that's in this box, are you going to paint them?
No.
Oh no. Well, okay. Let me rephrase that. As an adult now, no. When I was a kid, I did actually do that exact thing you're talking about. There was a box game called Dragon Strike, which I don't know if anyone remembers this thing, but Dragon Strike came with a ton of little miniatures, and I painted all of them, and it was only for use in that box because that was my only really attachment to it. But no, I would never do that now. I've got Lord knows how many boxes back behind of board games. If the pieces don't come painted, they not painted. That's all there's.
It doesn't. Painting is such a laborious task. It's just I wouldn't even want to paint it at all. I wouldn't even know. Do they come pre-assembled? Do we know that, or do they have to put them together?
From the looks of it, they're going to be plastic, so they're probably going to be pre-assembled.
Yeah, a lot of them are full form single pieces these days. Those board games sort of
there's so many questions I would have for Private Press.
You know what? Go for it.
Did you?
Again.
I already did.
You already did.
It's already out there on the internet.
It's out there.
And if you're watching, find Space Tavern Games on Twitter. Hit him up for it again.
So, sorry about the little rage fest we got into. We apologize to our fans and viewers.
And Mike Gilmer,
Mike,
who might be a little upset at how upset we are.
it's alright, Mike.
Sorry, Mike, we'll talk on Saturday.
So, back to where we were.
Where were we? Answering questions, I think, maybe?
Yeah,
Yep. The other questions out there in the internet.
I think I had one more question.
I do not have any on over at Random Games Twitter. I'm good.
I think the last question I had was, where do you get your gaming news? Best place to go for the tabletop gaming news.
My news of choice is Reddit. Reddit.com/r/board games. Normally, everything will show up there eventually if there's any sort of buzz. Obviously, I miss a lot of it because I didn't catch the Kickstarter about the free space. But for the most part, you get a lot of it there.
I use Tabletop Gaming News, Tabletop Gaming Network, or Tabletop Gaming News Network. I don't remember what they're called exactly. I also use Kotaku and Reddit. Kotaku does actually have a tabletop section that I actually discovered only recently. So that would be my suggestion to anybody out there.
So, yeah, I'm actually reading the War Machine Tactics subreddit, and I'm sorry to come back to this, everyone.
No, we need to kill this. We need to nuke this from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Somebody fire up the Mac cannons.
But it looks like everyone hates it.
Thank you, Internet.
And someone even just said, "Is it worth it yet?"
It's not worth it unless it's like $3 on
Is this-
Steam sales.
Hold
Is this
on.
for online vindication? Do you feel like you guys are being vindicated here?
Yes,
Live on the podcast.
I feel great that there's not somebody who is out there who's just like, this game's amazing, or like, I'm not on the opposite end of the spectrum here. I'm glad to be a part of something.
Oh, you don't understand. There's always one person out there that thinks something. I'm going to find that person that loves this game, and I'm going to tweet a link to you guys. You watch out. I'm going to find that one guy.
And then I'm going to destroy him.
See, here's the thing. There is the only saving grace of that game is the online play.
Yeah.
That is the only saving grace of the game. However, it's not worth the $40 price tag. Drops the mic.
Wasn't that the sale price tag, or is it?
No, that was the
wow.
Steam tag, $39.99.
I just got so angry reading those articles, I just had to close it.
So, well, we don't have anything else over here at the tavern. Any closing things you want to add there, Ben?
No, same places as always. You can catch us at randovergames.com, Twitter at randovergames. Oh yeah, and that. Oh wait, we got something.
Importance of lore in tabletop games.
Lore is probably the second most important thing behind mechanic.
I agree. I was just wondering what
Yeah.
everyone thought.
Actually, you know what? Actually, I would think lore and mechanic are right next to each other.
They would have to
Game-
be, because you have to get immersed into the world to enjoy what you're doing.
Yes. I have to be connected in some way to the world, whether it's I'm connected by the characters that are pre-made that I may be playing as, such as in like Betrayal at House on the Hill or Dungeon, like we were playing earlier. And the game also has to not be bogged down by 20 pages of rules.
And excess mechanics that really
yeah.
don't do anything.
That would be my stand on it. Without good lore, your game is just not going to be worth it. And without a good mechanic, your game is also not going to be worth it. So those two kind of go hand in hand, I think.
When you reach tabletop, what people consider tabletop, pen and paper, miniatures, that type of stuff, I think you're pretty much on the level. You have to be able to create a world that you want to be in. That being said, if you limit yourself back to the board game space a little bit more, I think you can get away with removing lore a great deal from site mechanics. I mean, like, there's quite a few very good, high-quality games out there where I couldn't really care one less about what's going on in the game. You know, your Settlers of Catan and your Carcassonne, like that. They're very good, but
In a way,
the lore is the lore is what you make of it while you're playing. There's not anything pre-existing.
yeah, in a way, the lore is just as important in those games because you're playing as settlers or.
Right, but I think a lot of people play them mechanically, almost like the way you play Connect Trade Work. Like there's not a relevance to it. It's just it's a matching of the mechanics, and I know a lot of people that play that way. Once you get someone to care about a character, lore becomes ever present and requisite. But it's the character. That's the part that's got to be. My opinion.
So. All right, now we got everything.
I would say so.
All right, cool. This has been episode 12 of At the Tavern.
Thank you to anyone who tuned in and anyone who listens to this on iTunes.
Yeah. We will catch you next week on At the Tavern. This has been Tyler.
And Patrick.
Ben.
It's been Ben.
We'll see Ben in another later episode of At the Tavern, and we'll see everybody else later.